Hello, you guys are listening to The Pen. I am your host, Jacob Prayer. We got the Spinnaker Swiss Army knife in office aficionado, Drew McDonald.
Let's get it.
And you know who he is, folks. Your mom's favorite little leaguer and your favorite local pogue, Hunter Malone.
Oops.
Just to open up real fast, Hunter, how upset are you to see that Sarah Cameron, also her real name is Madeline Klein, off the market now?
Just a tad bit upset, but
at least it's John B. At least you lost out to John B. You know?
Yeah, it could be worse. It could have been like Topper or something.
Oh my God, Topper. Could have been all sorts of bad. Well, let's go ahead and get started on what basically has happened this week in sports, which we had golf back. First PGA event since the Players in March. And it was actually a really good final round on Sunday. You know, you got a lot of guys competing. You have probably honestly 15 players in the mix. We're all within maybe 3 strokes back of the lead, and man, I don't know if y'all saw the videos, but the lip outs and the close calls and Bryson. First off, I want to say Bryson DeChambeau is massive. He was not that big before quarantine. You know, he said he was going to put on muscle, but nobody expected him to put on muscle that quick. Looking like a Hulk out there, as Ford Play likes to say. But, you know, he's known as the scientist, but now he just decided, screw it. The bigger I am, the further I can drive the ball down the freaking course. His average distance drive, per drive, was averaged about 340 yards. That boy could mash it. And just to compare it, Rory McIlroy is known as one of the top drivers on the tour, and he can drive it about 315 on average. That boy was mashing out there. You just see him walk up, and he's just so powerful, just douche. So Daniel Berger won. Him and Colin Morikawa went into a playoff back onto the 17th hole. Morikawa just decided to putt a little bit too aggressively to try to take the break out of it, and ultimately missed the putt. Xander Schauffele was also in the mix, and he had a horrible, horrible lip out. The ball went round the world in the cup and popped out. But it's nice to have the PGA back. You know, it's great to see it again. You know, they're going to Hilton Head, South Carolina, to play at the RBC Heritage. Same group of guys still along. A lot of guys playing. Rory, Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka. Those guys are still going to be in it. There's talks of Tiger Woods, but I don't think that's happening. Other than that, golf is back. I'm excited. I'm a big golf guy. It sucks that there's no fans in the stands a little bit. Like, the guy that got the hole-in-one was like, I had no idea I even made it because I'm so used to seeing the fans' reactions that he was just like, I didn't know I even had a hole-in-one. So he got halfway to the hole and someone's like, you nailed it. Other than that, NASCAR, Denny Hamlin won.
Forgot to mention, guys, Daniel Berger, Dwyer High School graduate. Hit home for me. First winner, golf back, 3-stripe life guy. What a moment. Proceed.
Cool fact of the day by Drew. Other than that, NASCAR, Denny Hamlin. They actually, at Homestead in Miami, they let fans into the stands, but it was only military in their families, and it was a very, very limited number, and Alvin Kamara was there as well. Then in support of Bubba Wallace. I think NASCAR is going to get a lot of fans in terms of them banning the Confederate flag. You know, they had one NASCAR driver quit because he was like, I can't believe what our country has come to.
He sucked too.
He had no wins on NASCAR at all. No wins. And I'm just like, nobody cares, dude.
But you're getting replaced either way.
Yeah, but them banning the Confederate flag is a huge step forward for NASCAR, and I think they're going to get more fans than losing fans. Obviously, they're going to lose like the diehards because they're so southern, like Bristol, Talladega, Daytona, the classics. But I think they're going to get more fans, way more fans now from them banning it. I think also I'm starting to understand the point system a little bit better. And even then, I'm a Kevin Harvick guy through and through, but I like Danny Hamlin's a driver too. But, Drew's a big who's your favorite driver? I feel like you're a big Chase Elliott guy.
Actually, no. Fun fact, not. He's a Braves fan, though, but go with Ryan Blaney, the guy number 12. He's my guy. Him or shoot. Let's go with Alex Bowman. Solid driver. Hunter, your guy. You got to pretend again. So
I've always liked Kevin Harvick because the Jimmy John's car. I've always liked Brad Keselowski, and I've always liked Denny Hamlin. But back when I was into NASCAR, my favorite driver was Tony Stewart when he was still around.
Tony Stewart.
I'm
Moving
more
on.
of a McQueen kind of guy.
I feel like you're more Chicks Hicks though. Like
No.
Kachiga.
That or you rode the Dynaco train pretty hard.
Dynaco, and then Lightning McQueen, Dynaco, and then I was more into the Formula racing.
You like the Italian guy.
The cars too, yeah.
Well, just not Guido. Guido was the guy doing the
Yeah, he's the big
tire.
Luigi.
That yeah.
His name?
Francisco, I think, was his
Francisco.
Yeah.
Wow.
something like that.
Same Italian. Other than that, we're kind of starting with some positive news, of course. The NHL has opened up facilities, and there's guys back on the ice practicing. Tampa Bay Lightning posted a video today of, Braden Point, Anthony Cirelli, guys taking shots at Andre Vasilevsky, and I'm just like, yes, thank goodness for hockey's coming back. I'm excited. Can't wait for it. I want it all. Other than that, let's get into some serious stuff. There was Mike Gundy was on the hot seat. And when I mean he was on the hot seat, he was on the hot seat. He wore a shirt representing a far-right network. And is his first name Chuba or Chuba? Chuba?
I'm going to say Chuba. Sounds cool.
Chuba Hubbard, who is the leading rusher of last year in the college football and is a Heisman contender this coming season, said he would not have done anything with Oklahoma State unless things were going to change. And we were talking in our group chat, before we record the show, and we're like, is Mike Gundy going to get fired? It's normally when someone goes, until things change, that normally means the head coach gets fired. But later that day, they posted a video of them shaking hands, saying they understood each other. Chuba said he shouldn't have gone to Twitter. He said he should have approached Mike Gundy as a man. Mike Gundy came out and said he needed to change. He didn't understand how hurtful it was to his players, and he decided to educate himself and to better himself. And so that is good for Oklahoma State. A lot of college athletes are shaking the landscape of traditions in college football. For instance, the University of Texas, they have a song they play at the end of the games called The Eyes of Texas. And if you don't know, it's The Eyes of Texas, or like that song. And they do the whole this as they chant. But I've read an article that horns down as always, Hunter, support it. But there was a lot of African-American players coming out and saying they actually don't even sing the song because the song has such racial ties. And what I did was, as DJ's coming in to join us, I actually researched it because I need to educate myself on the history of it before I did anything else. And DJ, as you're hopping in, we're talking about, we just talked about Mike Gundy, and I'm talking about how college athletes right now are shaking the college landscape. And I'm currently talking about the history behind the song, The Eyes of Texas, which have been sung by alumni and current students for over 100 years at the University of Texas. And it's basically, it was a quote from General Robert E. Lee Moore, who said something about, "Gentlemen, the eyes of General Moore are upon you." The Texas president took that and said that to students. He goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, the eyes of Texas are upon you at the University of Texas." And then they created a song, and they think the song has racial ties. You know, the eyes of Texas are upon you all the live long days, reference to slave masters, to the slaves, and Gabriel blows his horn. It's a whole thing that players don't like to sing. And I educated myself, and I was like, I'm like, I think they can get this song changed, but I really don't know if they can change it out of, you know, the alumni and the crowd that have been singing it for so many years. And, you know, Clemson got guys removed from the buildings.
I think it's a whole big ordeal that just in some cases isn't necessary. You know, just because racist people said non-racial things, you know, not everything a racist person says is bad. You know, inspirations come from that. You know, yes, is it the right person to, you know, follow and do whatever because he said that? Maybe not, but you know, every person has something that someone has said that changed their life, whether or not they really like that person or not. You know, not all racist people are bad people, you know, and even going back in history, not all slave owners were bad.
I agree. It's a lot of, if we're looking at a historical context, it's slaves were treated horribly. Everybody knows it. If you educate yourself well enough, you know way too much about situations. And I actually learned through, I watched a food documentary about why there's such racial stereotype behind the food that they eat, which is we're all thinking the same stereotypes: fried chicken, collard greens, and watermelon. Now, fried chicken's always been delicious. You get the right type of collard greens, always delicious, and watermelon's just awesome. But there's those racial stereotypes connected to them, and that was the only things that the slaves could actually get their hands on, because collard greens were viewed as dirt, basically, by slave owners. Fried chicken, you know, was what they made and actually would sell off to try and make money for the families and try to buy their way out of slavery. And watermelon is what they kept from the fields. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but those different type of stereotypes have been so connected, and you know, I think
they're not going to attempt to change the name of that just because it has a racial tie.
I know. I think college athletes though are using their position to change the way the universities think. Which, if you think about the ADs, you know, there's only, I think, out of 200 and whatever number there is, it's like less than 15% are actually minority athletic directors. And a majority of athletic directors are over the age of like 50. And I think college athletes are using their platform to get to the upper guys to finally say, you need to understand that you can't be in the ways of the past, and understand that history is history. And yes, there's some way of understanding and respecting it, but at the same time, you can't be having, you know, a slave owner as the front of your agricultural building. That just sends bad vibes, bad signals everywhere. So I think college athletes are going to shake the way universities are going about their business in terms of hiring, in terms of the way they think, the way they obviously hiring, the way they think, in terms of even the athletes are going to change the culture. You know, Drew tweeted out something about Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech posted a wonderful video talking about in a huddle, you know, guys forget about color, forget about, you know, their backgrounds. It's just a group of guys trying to achieve one goal. And I think that's what college athletes are going to start to try to do and elevate their platform. But kind of
what was everyone's view on the Chubba Hubbard tweet and response to Coach Gundy?
I thought it was necessary in terms of that's how he felt. But I also felt like it could have been dealt with behind closed doors.
He said that he tweeted that out.
I think, you know, I think they could have done it behind closed doors, meet, and then come out together in a unified front saying they understand. And Gundy would come out first saying he screwed up wearing the shirt and all that, rather than Chuba Hubbard coming out and just – because we all thought Mike Gundy was going to get fired.
There's no way. They fired him over that shirt. Like, I understand where they're coming from and in what the shirt and its beliefs, or the company that the shirt, their
symbolizes
their stance on certain topics. But just because you follow their network or whatever does not mean you believe in all the beliefs that they have. You know, you can join, you can be registered as a certain party, but you can, not like what a certain party does. That doesn't mean that.
I think it's becoming a little bit too political if we're reading it inwards.
If you're reading too far into it, that's exactly what it is. But from what it looks like, it looks like the man pulled a shirt out of his closet, went on a boat with his kids, and came off the boat and somebody took a picture. The only reason that picture was brought to light was because whoever Chubba Hubbard responded to in their tweet said he was wearing the OAN shirt or AON or whatever it was.
OAN. I think.
Huh?
I think.
Said I've been fired for less than wearing a shirt.
Thanks, Hunter. Hunter maybe have to explain that at the end for our listeners to get a good kick out of it. But yeah, I think, Popovich has been outspoken. Goodell's starting to come around a little bit to the forefront of this movement, And obviously, I didn't think he was going to get fired because of a shirt, but I was thinking more along the lines of obviously, I'm thinking when somebody says things has to change, I think of they got to fire the head coach because it's got to be a culture change, right? Yeah. Obviously, we were all saying he's not going to get fired. I'm like, yeah, we've all seen the video of Mike Gundy, standing up for his players and basically telling a reporter, saying, if you're going to blame anyone, blame me. Don't blame these young men. Am I thinking of the right press conference? That's the right coach?
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a shirt, but things obviously, it's such a sensitive, everybody's walking on eggshells. Even as I'm talking, we got to walk on eggshells because who knows, somebody can get offended at the tiniest little thing. I can say Hunter is pale as shit and Hunter can get offended at it in an instant. Like Hunter may cry after we, end this show tonight.
A little triggered, actually.
Exactly. See what I mean? See, I think it's so weird that everyone has to walk on eggshells right now. And it's kind of like, obviously this needs to happen. I think in terms of all of a sudden everybody now has to walk on eggshells has become crazy in terms of, the political views of somebody's opinion.
All right. I've got a question for each of you. One question I want each of you to respond to, because I think everyone's heard of the recent change NASCAR had with banning the Confederate flag.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier.
From but all right, so when you guys see the Confederate flag, what is the first thing that comes to your head? We'll
Losing
start
the
with
Civil
Hunter.
War. Losing the Civil War.
Okay, Hunter.
I mean, actually, I've had a long discussion with one of my buddies who's very into history and looked into that. So he showed me what every flag represented and how like the flag of the South and all the quote unquote like racist flags, what they look like. And so like he showed me about 100 flags, but like that flag is just the flag of the South.
Okay.
So like when it was split in half, like when I look at it, it's the flag of the South. A lot of people.
That's what it originally was meant for.
And that,
Okay, hold on, Jacob. Let him finish. I want to hear what Drew had.
that's just like it's the flag of the South. Whether people put ties to it or not is up to them. But there's worse flags out there that
Right.
mean what you're kind of putting on that major flag.
Of course. All right, Drew. I know you're a NASCAR fan.
I'm a developing NASCAR fan. I'm kind of like getting towards the commitment level. But I'm from Georgia. And I live in Georgia for like 6 years. I have family in Georgia. You know, you see the flag around everywhere, the towns. I never really got attached to it. I know that it's the common thing is it's heritage, not hate. But it seems very blanketed. It seems like it's a very dated flag. I think it's definitely time to put it down, but just it will cause backlash, but also get I think that's a new audience because we saw like Alvin Kamara wasn't a fan of NASCAR this past weekend because of the whole lawless car thing.
Right, but what do you think of like when you see that flag?
I think dated. I think like it's France course.
Okay. So what I felt like my mom and I had a discussion about this. Like when I see that flag or I look at it, you see the South. That's what it was originally for. The Southern states. But not only that, but it's also like a culture. And I'm not talking way back culture where with slaves or anything. You think back roads, big trucks, hick town.
Tea drinking, Copenhagen spitting.
Exactly.
Kissing.
Or scared.
Exactly. It perfectly describes NASCAR. NASCAR literally born in the South, Daytona Beach, right here. So
Racing on the beach.
exactly. So I taking away, a flag like that, and I talked to I know Hunter, you may know him, and I know Jacob knows him, James, and I understand, I got his side. I talked to him about that, and he says he's never had a good experience, with that flag. Every person that he's ever run into or come across to that's had that flag on, he is, they've looked at him a certain way. They've said racial comments to him, and things like that. But, I think banning the flag as a whole from the sport, I think that's, I don't want to say soft because I understand where other people are coming from, but it's just.
Here's what I'm going to say. So, yes, everybody knows the history of it. That the flag was initially meant to establish the South. And what a lot of people forget is that everyone thinks the Civil War was based off slavery. And to an extent it was, but it wasn't the main reason. The main reason was there's different tariffs being established down south, and there's different rules being applied down south because the labor is different than up north, which the labor up north is not slave heavy, while the south is slave dependent. As Hunter takes a nice big bite of his meat stick. He did it so slow. But anyways, that's what that flag initially was set out to be, was the flag of the new Republic of the South. And it became, once the Civil War was over, it was this, Reconstruction, and Reconstruction failed miserably, just absolutely miserably. They basically nothing changed. Instead of there being slaves, there was sharecroppers. And sharecroppers are still basically slaves with quote unquote freedom. But slaves never had any money to start their own life anywhere. So how was that even going to be possible? So that's why it ends up happening is that slaves actually stay on their slave owners' property, but now become labor force in the eyes of the nation in terms of the government, and now get paid a salary, and they can still live on property and XYZ. So really, like, nothing really changed really after the Civil War. And then I think what now has happened with that Confederate flag is it changed so much. What happened was the Ku Klux Klan came out and just that became, when you think of the Confederate flag, you think of the Ku Klux Klan. Like, those are just two associations that are with it. And DJ, I know what you're gonna say. That's, you know,
I don't. That's not even.
You're a very pure Southern. No, the Southern hospitality is what you're thinking of it as. But for a majority of the country, and especially James, he's viewing it as Ku Klux loving people. And I think in terms of NASCAR, I think it ran its course. NASCAR being a hit sport and everything that it's been for a long time, it's in this new era where we are, it's done. That Confederate flag needed to leave. You know, I personally never had a problem with it, but then again, I'm not African American. I am not James. I have not experienced the experiences he will ever experience. I actually found out, as Hunter thinks he's smoking a cigarette with his meat stick.
Where's the bar if it's this color?
It's a cigarello. That's what the fuck it is.
Baby.
I actually found out, you know, that I'm actually very loosely related to actually the General Robert E. Lee. Like, very, very loosely related. It was the Sisters of War, I think. My grandmother explained it to me one time when she did this whole ancestry thing. I understood it for a while, but now it's very loosely based to him. It's not direct relation. It's like through many, many different trees. And, you know, I think the country has shifted its weight. And I think the Confederate flag has ran its course in a lot of places. But, you know, we all can have different opinions. I'm going to respect all of your opinions and your beliefs. My belief, and I agree with Drew, I think it's ran its course because in the 90s and in the 2000s, like, what are you thinking of NASCAR as? Guys who are spit and dip, you know, big rednecks, you know, and then, you know, they're toting
what it is. That's what
but
it is.
NASCAR,
the evolution of NASCAR has not changed.
But
it hasn't. I mean, you've had girls come in.
It hasn't changed. It hasn't evolved.
No,
but this is them evolving.
They have more girls have become more involved, and we had I believe Bubba Wallace is the first African American driver. You know, it has changed in driver sense. You know, the mechanics of, you know, the cars, but the same people watch it. The same people. You know, Bubba Wallace has.
You ever thought why there's not more African Americans in NASCAR?
Yes, I have thought of that.
It's probably
just
because of that flag.
Yeah, I can't
think about it.
I mean, I understand where the ties come from, but you see people come up and they persevere through that. Bubba Wallace did it. What makes anybody think that nobody else can?
The question is, Bubba Wallace did it because he loves NASCAR more than hearing the slurs. You know, in England, they're facing a huge problem when the people go to soccer games. They're throwing racial slurs at the athletes, and those athletes make millions and millions of euros. Like Kylian Mbappe, who I think is younger than all of us, or the same age as us, except Drew.
Yeah, I'm old.
Yeah. You know, he even gets thrown racial slurs all the time, and he's a top 5 soccer player in the world. He's already won a World Cup. He won, you know, League One in France with Paris Saint-Germain.
It doesn't matter what country you're in, regardless. We see it here. Torrey Hunter came out and said that he didn't even want to be traded to Boston because of the racial
slurs.
You know, yeah, coming at him. And you think that's you know, he's the only person? LeBron James.
We're not saying that they're the only people. I'm just saying there's reasons for why certain things are certain things. I think the heavily Southern oppression that has been blanketed over NASCAR, and you live in Daytona, so you have a very, very different feeling about NASCAR than all of us. We don't have the Daytona 500 every year. In St. Louis, I got Cardinal games and Blues games. In Tampa, I don't know. I would say the Rays, but the Rays suck. Bucks suck. Tampa Bay.
Wait. They made the ALDS, Jacob. Put respect on that name.
Yeah, back in like 2008.
No, like 2019.
That was the World Series. That was the one appearance where they got that.
Wait, who was it?
The Rays.
I think the Phillies.
Oh, the Rays.
Phillies came in and beat that ass against.
That was the greatest game 162 I've ever seen, though, them with the Yankees.
2011, yeah. That was
That was crazy. But, I think things have ran their course, and, I think we can understand the sides, and we may never, ever come to an agreement. I think everybody is understanding why certain things are happening, and you may not agree with it. But, in terms of the flag being taken down from NASCAR, I honestly think it's time. And like I told Drew and Hunter, I think NASCAR will get more fans than the ones they're going to lose because of what that move means to the country and means to the sport.
Okay, so I'm going to follow up a question real quick. Do you think Alvin Kamara went to that NASCAR race? I don't even know how the hell he was let in because there were no fans. But
no, they let in a small number of fans into Homestead because Florida is.
They're veterans.
Yeah.
They're veterans.
So do you think Alvin Kamara went to that NASCAR race because Bubba Wallace was repping a Black Lives Matter car, or because they took down that Confederate flag?
So he didn't drive that same car though on Sunday. Different car. It was
he drove a different car.
Oh.
Yeah.
He
only had the Black Lives Matter car for the Wednesday night race.
Yeah, it's different. It's like the same like Richard Petty model on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Just kidding then. Never mind.
I think he went because it was a live sporting event.
I didn't even know they had a race. When was the last race? Yesterday?
Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't know either. Honestly, NASCAR will never get my attention, and it's simply because I don't have the discipline to watch cars go in a circle for hours and hours. So it doesn't matter what.
You're
never gonna get me on. And
I don't watch it. I just follow it on Twitter.
I tell you what, even watching the fans in the race is by itself the price of admission.
You take 5 guys to win the race and watch them. Hoping they win. That's what I do.
Guys.
You gamble? You gamble on it?
I'll just watch.
I do mental gambling. I'm like, hey, $5 in my head on this guy. If I win, sick.
That doesn't mean anything.
That means I won in my head.
We can't become a gambling podcast. We would all be broke so fast.
But I mean,
going back to what y'all were saying, like when you all brought up the KKK, like they have their own flag, and looking at it, I've never once seen this flag before. Also, they're not even classified as a terrorist group, which is also kind of
terrifying.
That's very scary.
It's a
Just
white
think about this.
group is what it's labeled as, not a terrorist organization or group or anything. A white supremacist that literally it says went after African Americans, the LGBTQ, and like a ton of other things. And I was like, and this isn't a terrorist group? Like, what is? So that was surprising. And then going back to Oklahoma State, with Chuba or without Chuba, and with Gundy or without Gundy, they're still mediocre, will never beat Oklahoma, and they're probably just going to have fun in the Alamo Bowl game again. So, like, I don't really care about Oklahoma State. They ain't shit. NASCAR, I could deal with them being closed or good. I'm not going to watch it. I don't really care. I'm glad they finally did something. It felt like they needed to do something. So shout out to them for actually making a move and doing something, unlike other sports who haven't said shit or spoken up or done anything. So I feel like that's why they wanted to do it.
So since we're kind of on this topic, why Kyrie Irving, I'm kind of switching it a little bit. Kyrie all of a sudden has gotten a big movement behind of telling players that you shouldn't go play in Orlando. Now, here's my stance. Here's my stance. I agree on the lines of Stephen A. and Michael Wilbon, and a lot of the analysts is okay. But here's the thing: you can go play basketball on national television because that's all we're going to be watching is basketball. You can go out, get your movement in the front of eyes of millions. Then take that money that you're making from this tournament and then put it back into your own communities. Yes, nobody wants to distract away the movement, but
that's the platform to do it on.
That's the platform that you're given.
You're gonna have your press conference. You're gonna be in the eyes, like you said, millions of people. You can do all your protesting and all the talk about, those who want to sit down for the national anthem can do that.
Television.
On television, you're gonna not only are you gonna have you said what you're going to do, you are gonna have the platform to do what you say you're going to do. And that's the biggest thing. You have all these people on all these companies donating millions and millions of dollars over 10 years or something like that, like Jordan Brand and
what was it, 100 million over 10 years?
Yep.
100 million, yeah.
And they will have the platform to do it on, and it will actually, I see this, I don't mean to relate this back to any fraternity, but I'm going to because it makes sense. For us that we're starting a fraternity, not only do we have to, get what we want to do out in front of us, we've actually got to take steps towards actually doing it, And so this is what they're going to be able to do to get the support of those who don't just want to talk the talk. They're going to walk the walk or walk the talk.
Walk the walk.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk?
Yeah, I don't think Kyrie's the guy you want as a leader. I mean,
he believes the earth is
in
flat.
Boston, he can't lead a team. He's a cancer. Also, you
He's
take
proving it.
the glorified Jamal Crawford with playoff experience. I told you that earlier, but it's the most factual thing. Like
Facts.
ever. The man has come out and said the earth is flat. Do you really want that man? Like, yes, he's famous. He has a platform, but
here's the thing. Here's my issue with Kyrie Irving. Like, he has I commend him on he created a coalition focusing on diversity, but the NBA has taken tons of steps in diversifying
itself already nationwide, like nations over the
worldwide. They're breaking into China. The Chinese are learning basketball, and they're sending players. You can go to China right now, and you can wear a Lakers jersey, and Chinese kids are going to know who the hell LeBron James is. That's that worldwide impact that you can have on your national platform. That if you're just going to sit out, obviously, Kyrie's not even going to play. Let's get that out. He's not even playing. Now it feels like he's just bait and switching and going on this way to get Kyrie's name into everything. Because Kyrie is just, like Connor said, he's a cancer. He's not a team leader. He's come out and said he's made mistakes. He's like, I wish I didn't leave Cleveland. I wish I didn't demand this. I wish I didn't do this. And it's like, dude, when are you going to stop and smell the roses a little bit that you can't just act on your brash emotions? Because he acted on brash emotion when he wanted to trade from Cleveland. All because he was unhappy in his role. It's like you're playing with LeBron James. Like, you're still dropping 20-plus points a game. You're still getting dimes, and you're still getting your rebounds. Like, you got to shut up.
Clutch shots.
Exactly. Like, we all remember LeBron's block. But we all remember Kyrie took the final shot to win it in Game 7 of that same finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was the one that hit the dagger with like a minute left.
Yes. And it was all because they got a screen to get Klay Thompson off Kyrie to get Steph Curry on him, because Steph Curry can't defend even if he could. Even if I stood still, Steph Curry couldn't defend me. Anyways, I think Kyrie, I think is stirring the pot way too much. And I think he needs to come back and see, okay, if we don't play, that means we don't make money and we lose. They're viewing it as they're going to distract the public. And it's like, I think you'll run the opposite. I think you can bring more eyes to something than just tweeting it. Because having somebody come out on a microphone and saying the impact of, he can come out and say he played today's game, his bonuses are going to go to a charity. XYZ, he can do all these things. And I think Kyrie, he's urging this movement. Like, I got a thing today, I sent it to y'all. He said the players should start their own league. What are you doing?
Who's going to run it? Players?
Who's going to run it? And you're going to have the same problems that you're going to have in the NBA.
Yeah.
The NBA, honestly, I think has done a wonderful, wonderful job under Adam Silver. It has a wonderful, wonderful ownership group once they eliminated Don Sterling. You guys all remember Donald Sterling from the Clippers and how bad that was?
Yeah.
The NBA has made leaps and bounds to get away from that and has focused on the players. I think it's foolish of them to either go start their own league, and I understand if they want to sit out for either social justice reasons or for health pandemic reasons. But I think they need to I think it's ridiculous to waste this platform because guess what? We're all craving sports. That golf tournament that just was played this past weekend, it normally does not bring in that many viewers. It upticked in their national viewership average about 50%. That's how hungry we are for sports. We're currently watching Big Cat as a fictional head coach play football because we're so craved for sports. I think it would be an utter waste to take it out and not use your platform that you've been given, that you, as a young African-American male, has fought so hard for to earn this platform.
See, I think I want to say that he is right in a sense that it will distract. In a sense.
It does.
But it's going to be more distracting towards those who don't reference sports as a platform. Those who watch the news, yes, the spotlight. The spotlight
conference will be on the news if he makes a comment.
Even farther than that, yes, the sports is going to take up some news station on take the place of probably a movement, that's happening in some city somewhere. And, will that hurt them? Maybe. But it's also going to bring to light, all the sports fans, those who, are only watching Instagram and seeing what's going on, that Chubba Hubbard is making a big deal over a shirt, or that Greg Popovich is speaking out about the black community, and it is going to not only bring that to light in front of them, it's also going to more than likely inform them of how and why everything is happening, more than just reading it on social media.
Did y'all remember the Eric Gardner situation? What happened then? And then basketball players wore the "I Can't Breathe" shirts or the "Hands Up, Don't Shoot" shirts. Those are stuff that I remember. That's something that you can do again. But not only that, say you wear an armband that has, Black Lives Matter. You're going to wear that the entire game. And then you can make money off that, sell those, or give it up for auction, and all the money goes to either supplies for those who are protesting. Honestly, looking back at it, I've never once seen Kyrie at a protest. I haven't heard any news that he's even given money to anything. Like, what is he doing other than bitching and complaining? Like Jordan, 100 million, 10 years. LeBron donated millions of dollars.
Started his own school too.
Not to mention, I've seen Kyrie. You've seen, Klay Thompson at rallies. You've seen
Damian Lillard.
NBA and other famous people. I saw Auden Tate.
J.R. Smith beating up some kid.
Yeah, you got Auden Tate and a couple of the Toronto boys that grew up here cleaning up the area. What is Kyrie doing?
You almost want to ask where was that when this whole, or not, I don't want to say this whole thing, but like back when it originally started with
Trayvon.
Kaepernick.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's so hyper focused on this that like he's like, oh, we can't take eyes off it. No, you can get more eyes on it, and that's something that I don't think he recognizes. And that
Here's the thing.
not to mention, he's been injured all year. His ass wasn't gonna play anyway, so he's like, oh, I'm not playing because you're still hurt with the shoulder injury, because you're team 7th seed and you're about to get shit on in the first round. You don't want to embarrass yourself, and you don't want to look like a goddamn glorified Jamal Crawford, which is what he is. He's shit.
I mean, I told my friend, I don't watch the news because the news is just so depressing, and there's nothing new that I kind of really don't already know. It's just it's just like what good can really come from? But then I told her, but it's like the only news I really watch and pay attention to is sports. And if I see them making leaps and bounds, on this issue, like it's going to catch ESPN, it's going to get on these sport platforms because you got to think about this. You got to think about the younger generation that are watching sports. They're not understanding all this political stuff that's happening, but you see LeBron James come on ESPN, and all of a sudden the gears start turning. A kid's going to go talk to his parents about it, or he's going to, change his mindset, I think that's why so many parents now are like, this is why they love having their kids in sports, is because, the diversity, other people, X, Y, Z. But we need to move on. This is a great conversation. I want to keep this dialogue open. Maybe we can invite James on, invite somebody. We can open this dialogue again, even get Drew's co-host from the Walk-Ons, Zach. Zach, I would love to have him on, open up a dialogue.
David Shealy.
David Shealy, great guy too, to bring him on. Let's talk to one of them, see if they're interested in coming on, and just keep this dialogue open, and let's keep it rolling. But we need to get into some stuff. We need to talk baseball for as long as we can without the show going nuts. Let's all come to an agreement that Rob Manfred has officially taken the mantle of worst commissioner in sports.
And what else you want to talk about? There is nothing more.
I was just going to say, I wanted to bring up first and foremost that Rob Manfred's an idiot. But I was, baseball came to the forefront, and I sent it in chat. We should do a little roundtable. But I think, honestly, roundtable isn't something that will happen tonight because we talk so much heavily about the Chubba Hubbard issue in NASCAR. I just wanted to come to an agreement that that Rob Manfred's a freaking idiot.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah. As soon as he gave the entire Astros organization immunity, I was like, this guy's
oh my God.
I was like, what?
Since when was that a thing? Did I miss that headline?
He gave it to him when the cheating scandal came out in what? February, January, and it feels like it was years ago.
Immediately it was granted to them. They were like, oh, all right, we just want information and you won't get in trouble. And they're like, thanks for the immunity. You're not getting
Yankees get caught now in a sign stealing ordeal.
Yeah, how did that come about?
Apparently they sent something in. The MLB sent them a letter or some shit, and I don't know, it just caught the eye of a newspaper. You know what I kind of is weird? How big, who watched the Long Gone Summer? The Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa.
Missed it.
I did. I just watched it today.
So Drew and DJ, if you guys can catch up on it, find it somewhere, go for it. It's a good documentary. It's not the best one 30 for 30 has done. It's just not even close. It's not even in a mid-tier. It was honestly one of the lower end 30 for 30s, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, they put it together 2 weeks after Michael Jordan's thing ended up. I don't think anything is going to live up to.
Well, not only that, it was a McGuire documentary with a little bit of Sosa.
Right.
If you think about it. And then at the very end, there was like steroids.
It was literally like Sammy Sosa calling him the man too.
It was
like,
the entire.
He's the man of the United States, and I'm the man of Dominican Republic. All right, back
Here's
to
how I described it to Hunter and Drew. It was a home run video between that Sosa, McGuire, and Ken Griffey with a couple video packages of their backgrounds and their history. I never knew Mark McGuire used to be a pitcher. I didn't know that, so that was new to me.
What?
Yeah, Mark McGuire originally was a pitcher, and then USC guy came and goes, your pitching's okay, but I like the guy hitting 3 home runs better. He goes, so you're going to come to USC and you're going to play first base.
Oh, his upbringing was pitcher. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, his big frame, I can see that.
College, and the guy was like, I heard you could hit. And he went and he was like, swung the bat a little bit. And they were like, yeah, you're a first baseman now.
Well, I mean, really, where else are you going to put a guy that size? You know, you can maybe put him in right or left field, but you can put him,
DH.
That sucks. Like, that height-wise, you should be throwing upper 90s.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, anybody who's played baseball says if you can hit, they'll find a spot for you. They'll find plenty of people who can field, but if you can hit, they will find a spot for you somewhere.
But even then, like that documentary in baseball, baseball was dead because of the '94 lockout, and then that brought it back. And it's weird because we're facing something so similar. We're facing something so similar in the fact that baseball, honestly, if there is no baseball, I think baseball will die. I think baseball is barely clinging on to, I would say, the third sport out of the 4 majors. But NHL's picking up a lot of steam, whether you guys know it or not. I've seen it. Like me and Hunter see at Tampa Bay games. You don't think a city like Tampa Bay in Florida is a hockey town. And
no, the Rays and the Bucks aren't doing nothing though. So,
but even then, like
the Rays have put up quite a few 90-win seasons in a row. So they're not like Baltimore where they're losing 100 games. Like they're continuously in the playoffs, or if they were in their division, they would have won the division. They're putting up those stats, but because they're facing the Red Sox and the Yankees, who put up 100 wins every year, they're constantly the wild card team, and they're constantly getting like pushed aside. It's just they're in St. Pete in a terrible spot. They need to come to Tampa, which is something that's been said since early 2000s.
Richie even said it.
They got to go to where?
Tampa.
Downtown Tampa. They're in St. Pete, which is
gotta go channel side.
It's literally a beach town and a bunch of old people who like are not gonna come out. Like
you gotta go to channel side.
And they're too drunk to drive.
And not only that, the Buccaneers have been mediocre for God knows how long. You know, ever since that Super Bowl win, Tampa's not really like a football town, Like, yes, it's a nice stadium, and they host a lot of other football games, like the Super Bowl, college football playoff, national championships. But it's like the Outback Bowl, yeah. It's the Buccaneers, and it's like now a lot of hype has come back because of Tom Brady. But like,
you notice the tickets have skyrocketed.
Yeah,
$100.
The thing about the Lightning. The thing about the Lightning were that they have always had a fan base. They have always been, for a majority part, have always been successful in terms of an expansion team. They have made the playoffs and they've grown this fan base. And the fan base, honestly, is rabid. And like in high school, I was shocked by how many Lightning fans they were because I thought Florida is primarily a football or a baseball state. But, Tampa, I believe, honestly, is a hockey town.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you go home, the first thing me and Hunter think of is let's go to a Lightning game.
Yeah.
Not let's go down to Tropicana because nobody wants to go to St. Pete.
Yo, that's far drive, and on the way back, literally everyone from that stadium is driving to Tampa. So now it's like a whole gridlock because there's thousands of people going the exact same way I am. And it's
Exactly.
you can make the same as like in Amalie, but literally in Amalie, there's so many like side roads that like once you hit the interstate, everyone's gone. Like boom,
Yes.
boom, gone, and it's literally like
It's slow.
like 100 cars going 80 miles an hour exactly to where you're trying to go. So
It's slow.
The thing about Florida in itself is it's like, I don't know if you guys want to believe this or not, but it's not really a pro sports state. Pro sports have been lacking. I mean, the Lightning, they have done awfully well, but they've done awfully well, recently. But you
I
think,
disagree.
look, Marlins, their attendance, their mayor made fun, of they didn't have to
but
put
that's
any
the Marlins.
capacity on going into Marlins Stadium because they don't have enough fans going in there anyway.
and
That's
the
the Marlins.
strip club too. So now no one's really gonna show up.
Exactly. The Dolphins have no attendance.
Joke. It's Miami.
The Buccaneers, no attendance. They do better than most.
Yeah.
The Rays, no attendance. The Jaguars, they get a good season, they may have some.
And then they jack up the prices as well.
Yeah, Jacksonville Jaguars need to fix some ticket prices.
So, I mean, but the state of Florida is a college town, college football,
I
college
agree.
basketball. So
But we also have a ton of them.
You just have there's so many
There's Florida State, Miami, UCF, USF. Like, those are like FSU national champions, Miami national champions, UCF national champions, UF national champions.
Why did you bring UCF before UF? I don't even like that.
Dude, I don't know, man. I was I went down and I had to work my way back up.
We told you the UCF way of 2017, and I put it in a boxing reference.
That's for another time. It's for another time. But it's like FSU, it's like, I agree with DJ. It primarily is a college town. It's like college town state.
College state.
Yeah,
we produce probably the most athletes out of any state. That's not even.
We do. No. Oh no, it's a fact. It's
like,
us or Texas.
Has a handful of guys from Florida.
California does.
Every team that's probably ranked.
California produce a lot of football and baseball players.
Yeah, but so does Florida because we can.
I mean, Florida produces a crap ton of baseball athletes.
And Georgia.
So we're talking about Florida.
Get out of here with your Georgia love.
It doesn't rank. If you had a Georgia team and a Florida team going at it, like
Florida's got that wrapped.
in Florida. We just pulled up to like a random USSSA tournament, and it's like Team Florida against Team Georgia. Like, I'm putting $100 on Florida.
I don't know, bro.
Georgia also have been built different though. But even then, it's like talking about that. It was I don't even get on this topic.
We were talking about how Florida wasn't a pro state; they're a college state.
No, before that.
Florida Panthers, who have been pretty legit.
No, they haven't. The Florida Panthers have been trash. Trash.
You also forgot the Magic.
Heat.
And the Heat.
I was trying to bring them in, and DJ wouldn't let me. They got 2 NBA franchises.
They have a nice arena. The Heat, it's super nice.
Okay, Amway Center is in so much congestion, it's insane.
Well, welcome to Orlando. Orlando is
That
congested.
highway has never been like fixed. Oh,
CF stands for
Miami. There's Inter Miami and Orlando FC.
And Pride.
Huh?
Orlando Pride, too.
Yeah, but they're garbage too.
They don't count.
the Lakeland Magic.
Is that the women's soccer league?
Yeah.
No, that's the G League.
Oh. Oops.
Oh, I was in that arena. My our high school girls played in that arena.
Who?
Our high school girls for their Final Four.
Ooh.
Got the Daytona Cubs. Palm Beach Cardinals, St. Lucie Mets.
It's
Those
the
aren't pro teams. Those are
Tortugas.
minor leagues.
It is the Tortugas, actually.
Did you just say minor league teams aren't pro teams?
Yes, I went that far.
Okay, so
Oh,
minor
actually,
league player, can I go back to college since I'm not technically a professional?
I'm just saying.
No, because once I go pro to go play in single A, high, whether it's high or low A, double A or triple A.
No, you go pro when you make it to the pros, and then you get sent back to the
You
minors.
go pro when you start making money.
my friend who's probably going to start in double A or triple A, who went number 9 overall, just had a $4.9 million signing bonus, and you're not going to call him a pro?
Okay, is he actually your friend?
Can we bring him on?
He
that?
played baseball.
Yeah, I was about to say, can you bring him on the show?
Actually, I heard from close friends of his that his agent wouldn't even let him do an interview with his high school. So I think the odds of him actually getting on this show are next to slim.
Fuck his agent.
Well, you can fuck the Alabama girls.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa,
Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa,
The media person.
whoa. We respect the media person. He never gave us. He said we could check back in with him later about doing an interview with her.
Yes.
But the agent saying Zach V can't do an interview with his high school. Fuck that agent.
That's the dick. Not the media guy.
Has that kid even gotten his diploma yet?
Is he even going to take that deal? Is he actually going, or is he playing in college ball?
There is no way on God's green earth.
He's
Him,
taking
especially as the
8%.
power hitter that he is not going to take the chance of going to Colorado and passing on $5 million. No way. Anybody who passes up on that deal is a
I
fool.
know. He could end up like Billy Bean.
He might. But he's still $5 million richer.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether or not he
Money
hits
than
the,
me.
Billy Bean could have gone to Stanford and gotten that education and made probably more money than $5 million in a year.
Well, then he became the GM of the Oakland A's, so I guess things all work out eventually.
Yeah, you don't need a Stanford education to do that.
No,
didn't he
The
get
last time Billy Bean won a World Series?
Never.
Maybe he should have gone to Stanford.
You guys remember the
the Red
last
Sox offer of $12.5 million a year.
Didn't he take that? He went to the Red Sox, didn't he?
Nope.
No.
He declined it.
Who
Because
am I
they got
who am I thinking
the
of?
EOFC.
Theo and won several championships. So, and then Theo went to the Cubs and won them a world championship.
Oh, yes.
Now it's biting him in the butt because they're so cash strapped.
dude, these are the worst chips. They're so damn
Facts.
salty.
Facts. They're so overpowering.
Sour cream and onion.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and do the rotation and let's talk about boys.
With all this hostility, we're going to turn it around and we're going to go with our
We need to end it on something
Marvel
lighthearted. Marvel movies, my people. We got to end this show on a light, positive note. We're not a negativity podcast unless your name is Hunter Malone and his hatred for Texas and Oklahoma State. And Kyrie Irving.
Friends wear orange. It's an ugly color.
Dude, I didn't
I'll
paint this
second
room.
that.
Burnt orange. Ugh.
I didn't paint the fucking room.
Orange and blue.
Bro, they look like
It's
they're-
not blue. It's
Great.
brown.
Is it orange or coral?
The Gators wear orange and
Oh
blue.
my god. I swear, y'all annoy me sometimes. I swear.
like that big.
I think you're just easily annoyed.
You put up with Hunter for a semester to test your tolerance.
Hey, you
Jacob,
chose to do that on your own. You
Jacob,
could have waited a week and you could have dealt with somebody else. Oh, well, I guess you had to live with him, so.
freaking every single night after we're done working, Hunter would hit me with some like brain, like, Jacob, did you know that your lip, when you say the word touch, your lips don't touch, but when you
Say the word separate, they do.
yeah, they touch, and I'm sitting there, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Hunter. I'm trying to
Are
go.
your eyes exactly one eye length away from each other?
Exact. See, this
Also,
shit,
the same distance that your nose is.
bro. If you were high around Hunter, your day would be ruined.
It was so, yeah.
Your night would be ruined because he said one thing. I just was like, I'm not doing this tonight.
Can you face the stairs backwards?
Yeah, he would say that.
Think about it. You're thinking just that face right there and the eye twitch. He was like, "Come on, Jen."
Psychothematic.
I mean, you would have ruined Will. You would have ruined Will. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Top 5 Marvel movies. The rotation. I'm going with Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's right, John Watson. I will take you up on your argument. I saw this thing on Twitter. Drew knows who John Watson. He works at Spinnaker. Also hosted a walk-ons. He said Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is a bona fide top 5 Marvel movie. I disagree. It's Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm going with the original Iron Man at number with my 5th slot. Drew?
I actually had 3 Avengers films on this list, but I was like, you know what? I'll do one Avengers movie on this list, to be fair.
Ah.
So 1 is Endgame, 2 is Civil War, 3 is Captain America, the OG one, 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and 5th is Thor Ragnarok.
You have enough of the Spider-Man movies.
I have mine written down. Number 1, Black Panther.
Great movie.
It was a great movie.
Soundtrack.
Wakanda Forever.
The soundtrack was fire.
Motherfucker. Number 2,
Wakanda Forever.
the one that came out like 2012, the first one.
Yeah, first Avengers.
3, Avengers Endgame. That shit was fire. Number 4, Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that was
Also,
good.
It's a really
Lego. And number 5 is Thor. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like the Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
That one was cool.
Sound it out, buddy. All right, for mine, I'm going off the top of the head because I forgot to write it down, but I know Endgame is 1, Infinity War 2, 3. I'm kind of tossed. I really loved the original Iron Man. Original Iron Man was fuego, as Hunter would put it. Winter Soldier at 4, and then 5. I don't know. I would almost say the first Hulk, or not the first Hulk.
Whoa, whoa.
Sorry.
What's that first Hulk out here?
First Banner? That was terrible.
No, I didn't mean to say Hulk. I was thinking of Hulk in the Avengers and Hulk in the Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Big monster. Sorry.
I would say this: Captain America had the best trilogy. Best trilogy by far.
Yeah, Iron Man disappointed me in his single films. I liked him a lot better in the Avengers movies than I did.
They did the whole Mandarin tease, and they just like never followed through with it.
Yeah, but his first one was good. I loved his first one. So.
I took the unpopular stance of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Gross.
Why do you think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is better?
I didn't think either one of them were good.
What the hell?
I thought they were better than what I thought they would be. When they said there was a talking raccoon, I thought it was over for the Avengers. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the whole thing was done.
I thought it was gonna be like, have you ever seen Over the Hedge? I was like, that.
Yes.
I was like, I was wondering where he was at.
I'll put a sleeper in. I'll put my 6 as a sleeper. Depending on my tie for 5th, would be Ant-Man.
That one's okay.
That's pretty good.
Ant-Man, I thought was a stellar movie.
We gotta start wrapping up the show. And DJ, Drew, cue the music.
Maybe the tribe has spoken.
DJ, we have made our votes. My vote. Drew, who's your vote to vote off the island?
DJ, I can't describe what to say in words from my mouth. I want to do it this way. DJ, you are my fire. Kind of the one though. Desire. But believe, DJ, I vote you out.
Hunter, speak for the tribe.
Wolfgang, boy. The tribe has spoken, and the wolf has voted on you. Sorry, bud. It's
The
official.
tribe has spoken, DJ. You have been removed from the island.
You actually got ditched.
That wraps up tonight's show. Will DJ come back onto the show after we just voted him off? You gotta
Guys,
tune in
wait.
next week to find out.
Guys, wait. Watch this. Yeah.
I've been your host, Jacob Frail. We got the Spinnaker Swiss Army Knife and Office aficionado, Drew
Get it?
McDonald. And you know him as your mom's favorite little leaguer. And if you need anything, he's your local Pogue.
Oh.
Alone. And DJ's been voted off the island. Stay safe out there. We have been the Pen. Good night.
Look.